Alabama on the road at Texas A&M Saturday at 3:30. Alabama's a 2.5-point road favorite. I'm having a hard time figuring out why Alabama would be a favorite on the road against absolutely anybody at all. This isn't a 1 or a 2 year problem. This is going back 3 or 4 years now with Alabama. They have had a hard time performing well on the road. You look at South Florida this year. Is that their only road game? I mean, they lost to Texas at home. They beat Ole Miss at home. I guess they beat Mississippi State, but anybody can beat Mississippi State. But and then you got Texas A&M. What happened to them on the road at Miami? Now, this is a road game, so it's not a home and away thing for Texas A&M, but I'm having a hard time figuring out which version of each of these teams is going to show up for this game Saturday at Texas A&M. Both teams are sitting on one loss. It really couldn't be a bigger game for either team, if you think about it. The winner of this game is likely going on to win the West. The loser of this game is likely eliminated. While neither of those things are set in stone, it's an almost near certainty that the winner of this game will win the West and the loser won't. It's a playoff elimination game because both teams already have one loss. If A&M doesn't win this game at home after bringing in Bobby Petrino and sort of turning things around, I guess, according to the talking heads, turning things around after the Miami game, they're out of excuses. I mean, I kind of said this about Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss goes in there, Alabama's got wobbly knees. If you can't take them out then, when can you? And, of course, they laid an egg and got beat. But that was at home. This is on the road, right? How much better is Texas A&M versus the team we saw play on the road at Miami? Are they any better at all? Jalen Milroe is a disaster at quarterback for Alabama. I will readily admit that. But Texas A&M is on to their backup quarterback after Connor Wegman got hurt and is out for the season. Now, to the benefit of Texas A&M, Max Johnson, the quarterback that's in now, isn't your typical backup quarterback. And I don't even mean from a talent perspective. I don't know, nine times out of 10, your backup quarterback either has no experience or very little experience at all, especially in today's world of mass transfers. Texas A&M is lucky here in that they've got Max Johnson. This guy's been around for a long, long time. He's played a lot of football at a couple of different places, ton of experience, and at times has played really, really well. Both of these defenses, I think, have played well this season, with the exception of the one big game they've each played. So again, which way do you go? Alabama did not play well defensively against Texas. They gave up way too many deep balls, right? Texas A&M's defense completely disappeared against Miami. Same thing, Tyler Van Dyke ate them alive. So which one of these two secondaries plays up to potential in this game and gives the opposing team's quarterback a hard time? Now, you don't have to do much to give Jalen Mildew a hard time when it comes to throwing the ball. Did Alabama only attempt 12 passes last week? They almost completely abandoned the run game at this point. Alabama has. And that's one thing against Mississippi State, who I think is the worst, maybe second worst team in the SEC. That's a whole other thing completely when you're talking about trying to do that against Texas A&M, who for 4 or 5 years has had one of the best 2 or 3 defenses in the SEC almost every single year. Defense has not been Texas A&M's problem typically. It's been offense, and we've been over that a million times. That's why Bobby Petrino is there. I'm just having a real hard time on this game. I don't think either one of these two teams is national title caliber team. I do think the winner of this game could potentially make the playoffs because you got to think whichever team can beat the other, who then are they losing to down the road? I know Alabama hosts Tennessee, but again, it's at home. Alabama plays LSU, but again, it's at home. And as bad as Alabama has been, relatively speaking, you got to understand, when we talk about Alabama being bad, we're talking about bad compared to recent versions of Alabama over the last 10 years, okay? Alabama's still the most talented team in the country and can beat almost anybody on any given day if they play up to their talent level and Jalen Mildew doesn't ruin it. Texas A&M, again, one of the most talented teams in the country, but can't or hasn't been able to get out of their own way for the better part of a decade now, pretty much since joining the SEC. Running games, I would lean Alabama in the running game, but again, Alabama's completely one-dimensional. Texas A&M can't run the ball. If you want to compare rush offenses, and look, I'm not a stats guy. Save yourself the time and trouble if you're going to post some stat down below to prove one team is better than the other at running ball. I'm just talking about from watching both of them play. Alabama's got a much more dangerous quarterback with their legs and Jalen Mildew than A&M does with Max Johnson and Jace McClellan and Binky Williams, although he doesn't suck on his pass fire anymore. Those two can play well at times. I like what Alabama does running the ball a little bit more than Texas A&M. Take that as an insult if you want. It's just my honest observation. But when it comes to passing the ball, almost any team on the planet is leap years ahead of Alabama in that department because Alabama's hamstrung not just by the play of Jalen Mildew, but they just don't have any elite level wide receivers either. It's just been proven over the last 2 years. So I would give Texas A&M the definite advantage when it comes to throwing the ball. But again, it's going to come down to these secondaries. Front sevens, Alabama might have the best front seven, not just in the SEC, but in the country. Their defense is legit. But Texas A&M's front seven is full of 4- and 5-star future NFL players as well. A very talented group. So it brings you right back to the secondary. Coaching, I'm just going to give the coaching advantage to Alabama here, at least in terms of head coach. Now, down below that, I don't think Alabama's coaching staff is anywhere near the level they're used to having from the coordinators down. I didn't like Tommy Rees or Kevin Steele when the hire was made. I still don't like them. Alabama's defense has turned out well, and I guess we got to give Kevin Steele his due there. But I'm still not overly impressed with that as a hire for defensive coordinator. Bobby Petrino coming into Texas A&M. I think Bobby Petrino is a better offensive coordinator than Tommy Rees. We're not talking about who's the better human being here. We're talking about who's the better offensive coordinator. I'll take Bobby Petrino. I think this is going to be a great game. 3:30 on the road at Texas A&M. It makes complete sense to me that this thing is only a 2.5-point line because, man, I really feel like either team could win this game. I think something like, and this sounds a little cliche, but and maybe it is, turnovers and special teams. And not only, I don't even mean, in special teams in particular, I'm not necessarily talking about somebody taking one back to the house on a punt or a kick, although that would be huge, or a block punt. Who can avoid a special teams disaster, right? You have to avoid that. A fumbled kick, a botched snap on a punt, something like that. Avoid that. Obviously, if you get a huge return in the kicking game, that's an added benefit. And the turnovers, if Mildew comes out and throws a couple of interceptions like he did against Texas, Texas A&M probably wins this game. But you can say the same thing for Texas A&M. If Bama doesn't turn the ball over and A&M does, Bama probably wins the game. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. It's a point-and-a-half special. It's a no-lose situation for the rest of the college football world. Whoever loses this game is going to get clowned into oblivion. For Alabama, it would be their second loss, and we're only halfway through the regular season. They'd be eliminated from any playoff contention, most likely eliminated from any SEC title races or anything like that, and it's just hilarious every time Bama loses because their fans don't know how to act. For Texas A&M, if they lose, it's going to be the, here we go again thing with Jimbo Fisher. Well, this is the second loss. I guess we got 2 or 3 more coming. Texas 8-4, ha ha ha, that kind of thing. I guess the Bobby Petrino hire didn't work, ha ha ha. And it could be one of the final nails in the coffin of Jimbo Fisher's head coaching stint at Texas A&M. So it's just a huge, huge game. Everything on the line. I've been leaning Alabama for the last couple of days. Talked about it on the call-in show last night. Was leaning Alabama. I think I'm going to go with the home team here. When I have a hard time picking a game in a situation where I really feel like either team could win, there's a couple of things I like to look at to try to help sway my mind one way or the other. Number one, where's the game at? Well, in this case, it's at Texas A&M. It's obviously a benefit to play at home as opposed to on the road. Number two, who's got the best quarterback? Quarterback touches the ball in every single play, right? Well, Max Johnson ain't winning no Heismans anytime soon, but he ain't Jalen Mildew. The guy can complete a pass when need be. I'm not convinced Jalen Milroe can do the same. Texas A&M is going to be the best defense Alabama has played this year, and really it's not even close. No offense to Miami. I like Miami. They're undefeated. They're a top 15 team most likely. Maybe top 10 if they win a couple more. Texas A&M I just think has a better defense than Miami. Overall, I think this will be Bama's toughest test in terms of the defense they faced. Same thing for Texas A&M. But I'll take Max Johnson over Jalen Mildew, and I'll take the home field advantage for Texas A&M. Give me the Aggies in a close one. R.I.P. Bama fans.